It's always great to see an actor leveling up their game and proving themselves capable of far more than you ever thought possible. And that's certainly true of these unexpected recent career best performances, which arrived without much in the way of pre-release chatter, only for the actors in question to put on a damn performance. So let's take a look at them. I'm Adam, this is What Culture, and here are 10 actors who just gave their best performance out of nowhere. Number 10. Luke Wilson, Horizon: An American Saga, Chapter 1. Luke Wilson's filmography has been a rather mixed bag of films that mostly didn't benefit much from his talents. But earlier this year, Wilson found himself perfectly cast in a vehicle that was elevated by his disarming acting chops. Kevin Costner's polarizing Western epic Horizon: An American Saga, Chapter 1. Now, Wilson doesn't appear in the 3-hour-long behemoth for too long, but makes a serious impression as Matthew Van Weyden, a wagon master in charge of a convoy heading towards the titular frontier town. In a film packed with vicious, cruel, and conniving characters, Wilson's Van Weyden is a welcome picture of calm and resolve, attempting to cool simmering tensions during the treacherous journey to Horizon, with Wilson's characteristically laid-back acting style making him a snug fit. It's a joy seeing Wilson playing a more serious-minded role than is typical, and one that sees him turn in the most quietly brilliant work of his entire career. And with Wilson confirmed to return for at least the second and third parts of Costner's Horizon saga, he's still got plenty left to give. Number 9. Alicia Witt, Longlegs. It's always great to see a veteran performer show up in a movie totally out of nowhere and just knock it out of the park. And that's certainly true of Alicia Witt's superb performance in Oz Perkins' recent horror hit, Longlegs, where she portrays Ruth Harker, the mother of protagonist Lee. There's far more to Ruth than what first meets the eye, and Witt does a mesmerizing job of nodding towards something being off with her in earlier scenes, before of course the penny drops. Shedding her distinctive auburn hair, peppy personality, and typically fresh-faced allure, Witt instead dresses down and portrays a character quite unlike any she's inhabited before. The unnerving sort primed to leave audiences on edge every time she's on screen. The result is one of the best performances in the movie, going toe-to-toe with both Micah Monroe and Nicolas Cage despite her limited screen time, and the most impactful of her entire career. Number 8. David Dastmalchian, Late Night with the Devil. David Dastmalchian is a terrifically talented character actor who has given a bevy of memorable performances in the likes of The Dark Knight, Prisoners, Ant-Man, Blade Runner 2049, The Suicide Squad, Dune, Oppenheimer, and many more. And this year, he finally got the lead role he's been so thoroughly deserving for many years. In the excellent horror film Late Night with the Devil, one of my favorites from this year. Dastmalchian stars as a late-night talk show host, Jack Delroy, who attempts to boost his show's ailing ratings by inviting an allegedly possessed girl to appear, before things naturally go haywire. Given that Dastmalchian has made a career largely out of playing oddballs and creeps, a charming talk show host is certainly quite the leap for him, and yet a part he totally nails. It helps, of course, that Jack is harboring a wealth of inner darkness, much of which only reveals itself much later in the story, and Dastmalchian acutely captures the character's duality in that respect. It's certainly his finest work to date, and hopefully paves the way for his career as a lead performer. Number 7. John Cena, Ricky Stenicki. Though John Cena's acting career didn't get off to the finest start in junky, self-serious action vehicles like The Marine and 12 Rounds, in most recent years he's found a firm niche for himself as a comedic powerhouse, and basically reached his peak era in the recent Peter Farrelly film Ricky Stenicki. Cena gives a hilariously go-for-broke performance as Rod, the actor hired to pose as the central character's fake friend they invented to get themselves out of trouble since childhood. And though the title role previously courted the likes of James Franco, Joaquin Phoenix, and finally Jim Carrey to star, Cena makes the part so overpoweringly his own that it's tough to even consider somebody else playing it. It's a role that takes full advantage of Cena's larger-than-life physicality, disarming meatheadedness, and underappreciated comedic timing. If Peacemaker might be Cena's most iconic role to date, it's Ricky Stenicki which best exemplifies his talents, putting himself out there and basically propping up a film that would have been decidedly less memorable without him. Number 6. Riley Keough, Sasquatch Sunset. Riley Keough is a fantastically talented actress with a ton of quality performances to her name in the likes of Mad Max Fury Road, The Girlfriend Experience, The Lodge, and most recently the TV series Under the Bridge. And yet, Keough's most evocative performance to date came totally out of left field, when she underwent hours of makeup to transform herself into a female Sasquatch for indie fantasy drama Sasquatch Sunset. Despite Keough speaking no human dialogue, she manages to bring tremendous emotional weight to her character's plight through grunts, body language, and especially heart-rendering facial expressions. As the only female of a predominantly male group of Sasquatches who seem destined to doom themselves, there's a subtle poignance to her performance here, saying so much without having to verbally say anything at all. It's certainly not a performance likely to muster much awards buzz, but it proves once again what can be done with long pauses, loaded silence, and piercing gazes. Now let's pause for a second and let me ask you this. Which performance from an actor really blew you away recently that you were not expecting? Make sure you let us know down in the comments, and while you're there, if you like this video, make sure you give us a like and a subscribe. Alright, let's jump back into the video. Number 5. Justice Smith, I Saw the TV Glow. Justice Smith seriously leveled up with his stellar performance in Jane Schoenbrun's unforgettable horror drama I Saw the TV Glow. As protagonist Owen, Smith is charged with playing a high schooler for the majority of the movie, despite being almost 30 years old, a gambit that could have gone so horribly wrong, and yet, per the film's surreal tone and central themes of identity and arrested development, it totally works. Smith, who hasn't had too many opportunities to truly showcase the extent of his acting abilities, gives a devastatingly nuanced performance here, turning in a portrayal of trauma that's almost too real to bear. A meltdown scene near the end of the movie is all the proof you need that Smith is a seriously talented actor, even if he's not been given the arena to showcase it often enough. It just goes to show that no actor is above surprising us all when cast in a role they are perfectly suited for. Number 4. June Squibb, Thelma. June Squibb is a wonderful veteran actress with almost 100 roles to her name over a 4-decade acting career, with her most celebrated performance to date being her phenomenal turn in Alexander Payne's Nebraska, which nabbed her a Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination. But against the odds, Squibb somehow outdid herself in Thelma, which saw the actress land her first ever starring role at the age of 94. And Squibb certainly makes the most of it, portraying a doggedly determined elderly woman who ventures off on a quest to recover the money stolen from her by a phone scammer. Squibb, who reportedly did most of her own stunts, including riding a scooter and rolling over a bed, brings dignity, pathos, and ferocious humor to a type of movie protagonist we almost never see. For Squibb to fire on all cylinders like this in her 10th decade of life is a truly remarkable achievement, and if there's any justice at all, she'll court major awards consideration throughout the rest of the year. Number 3. Chris Hemsworth, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. While it wasn't exactly a surprise that Chris Hemsworth was a delightful ham as villain Dementus in Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, it was certainly unexpected that he gave a genuinely brilliant, show-stopping dramatic performance in his own right. Yes, Dementus is an over-the-top cartoon of a character, prosthetic nose and all, yet Hemsworth also manages to bring the shade and dimension out of him through his impressively rich turn, making the most of the brief, quieter moments to realize Dementus as a more believable brand of tyrant. It's not unfair to say that Hemsworth filmography hasn't granted him too many opportunities to really stretch himself, and while until now his best work was possibly playing F1 legend James Hunt in Ron Howard's Rush, Dementus offers him a far greater opportunity to really flex all of his acting muscles. After years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this was a welcome reminder that Hemsworth has a lot more to offer, and hopefully might chart a bold new course for his future career outside of superhero fare. Number 2. Lauren Marie Taylor in A Violent Nature. Artsy slasher flick In a Violent Nature has quite the surprise in store for horror fans, as Friday the 13th Part 2 star Lauren Marie Taylor makes an unexpected appearance in the third act of the movie, as a woman in a pickup truck who stops to help sole survivor Chris. Taylor, who by the late 1990s had more or less quit acting to work as a school teacher, was coaxed out of retirement with Chris Nash's script, which rather than simply offering Taylor a wink-wink cameo, gives her a long 10-minute monologue to chew through. And it's not merely a long retired actor pulling off a huge monologue that's impressive here. It's that Taylor has to perform it with enough subtlety to make the audience suspicious of her character's intentions, but not tip her hat too pointedly in either direction. It's a phenomenal performance for any actor, let alone someone who's been basically out of the game for almost 30 years. While Taylor's filmography counts just a small number of roles, this feels like the work of a genuine industry veteran. And number 1. David Krumholtz, Lousy Carter. David Krumholtz has been delivering impressionable performances ever since he played Joel Glicker in Addams Family Values over 30 years ago. And though his recent appearance in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer marks a sure career high for the actor, it's not quite his best performance overall. Well, not anymore at least. Krumholtz's most recent project, low-budget indie dramedy Lousy Carter, casts him quite perfectly as a middle-aged college professor who finds out he has 6 months to live. It's honestly tough to think of a more fitting marriage of player and part in recent memory. Krumholtz is a master of playing sandpaper dry, relentlessly cynical characters, and this might be his final form in that regard. It's a slight movie with basic visuals and an almost too short 80-minute runtime, but Krumholtz makes every second of screen time count, in turn offering up a showcase for his sorely underused skills as a magnetic leading man. We need more of this from you, Krumholtz, please.